Hey y'all, I'm Tim. Welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. Today we're bringing you another Saturday showcase. Here on the Mr. Maple Show, we bring daily content, a lot of gardening videos each and every single day, much of that about Japanese maples. If you like Japanese maples, if you like gardening, make sure you're subscribed to the Mr. Maple Show on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, comment in the comment section, and as always, share this with your gardening friends. Word of mouth helps more people learn about us here at MrMaple.com. At MrMaple.com, we're a mail order nursery. We ship directly to your door, and we do over 1,000 varieties of Japanese maples. What more could you ask for? Today, we're bringing you a really cool assortment of trees on the Saturday showcase. We're bringing you some plants that you probably have in your garden, but it blows your mind when you realize they all came from one nursery. We're talking about Girardelli Nursery in Italy. Girardelli Nursery in Italy has been 3 generations of nurseries. I mean, they grow fruit trees, they grow ornamentals, and Japanese maples. They've introduced some amazing classics that you probably already have in your garden, some of which you probably need in your garden. I mean, they're from Milan, Italy, and there's so many cool Japanese maples that have been introduced by them. Starting out down here, we've got Acer palmatum Stella Rosa. The name translates as red star. This is a classic red weeping Japanese maple that is really unique. It comes out with more of a purple-red color in the spring, and I've often seen this being a red lace leaf that has a little bit of twist to the leaf, sometimes even curls a little upward. The leaf shape is very unique on this one, and it appears to be a fairly slow grower. For us, this is one that ended up reaching about 4 feet in height by about 5 foot in width in 10 years with a cascading umbrella habit. Stella Rosa, I mean, this is a classic red lace leaf Japanese maple. It became very, very popular in Europe. It hit the American market, but in America, it hasn't really quite hit the same as it did in Europe. But it's a very good weeping red lace leaf that is very unique, with a unique style shape to the leaf, with a unique habit, the way it sort of cascades down. But the color on that just gives you some really nice deep purples. Love Stella Rosa, a great weeping red lace leaf. Now this is one that you probably have in your garden. Acer palmatum Orange Dream. Yeah, they introduced Orange Dream. This is an awesome, awesome upright Japanese maple, and it'll get about 6 to 8 feet in 10 years. Give it some protection from the hot afternoon sun, but if you push the limits of sunlight with Orange Dream, you can really get some really nice faded out yellow colors that really highlight the garden. It's a yellow Japanese maple. You know I love the color yellow, and Orange Dream really brings it in the garden. If you're starting to give it some sunburn on this plant, on a mature plant in the landscape, you probably have it in too much sun. So you want to give it a little more protection, but Orange Dream when it first comes out is yellow with a little bit of an orange border around the edge. Amazing. In the fall, this plant will often go to orange to pink reds in the fall, and that yellow color in the spring, in the summer on Orange Dream, it's hard to beat. And this is a classic Japanese maple that is super popular in the nursery trade and is getting more and more popular by the day because it is so unique and it's bright, bright, bright yellow. We're talking highlighter yellow with Orange Dream. Next up, we've got another one that you should have in your garden if you don't already. This is Acer palmatum Fire Glow. Yes, that's right. The same nursery that introduced Orange Dream also introduced Fire Glow. Those are some heavy hitters when it comes to plants that are staples in the nursery industry. And Fire Glow, as the name suggests, is an upright red Japanese maple. And if you plant this where it gets morning sun or afternoon sun coming through the leaves, it glows. And that's because it gets an orange red to the back side of the leaf. And when the sunlight comes through the leaves, it just has this glowing effect when you're looking up into it on a larger tree. That makes this tree extremely showy. The other reason I love Fire Glow is because this is a plant that'll get 8 to 10 feet in height in 10 years. So it's a good mid-sized upright red Japanese maple. It's extremely heat tolerant. We've got a whole series on heat tolerant Japanese maples, and Fire Glow is definitely one of them. And all those things together, along with these colors that Fire Glow can provide, are outstanding. One of the most underrated things about Fire Glow is the fall color. And this is a bright, bright, bright fire engine red. For a red Japanese maple, this thing is amazing throughout the entire year. And remember, siding is key for this one. Give it where it gets morning sun coming through it, where you can look through it, or afternoon sun. That way you can really see that glowing effect that fire glow can really have in the landscape and garden. To me, this is one of my favorite red uprights, and the fact that they've introduced both Orange Dream and Fire Glow, it just blows my mind that someone has put two staples out in the nursery trade that are so amazing. I mean, Fire Glow to me is just a spectacular plant. The original name on Fire Glow was FG1, and that's because it was introduced by Fratelli Girardelli, and then it was later given the name Fire Glow. And amazing plant. But you see how you can even get to Fire Glow from FG, and amazing plant. I mean, this is, to me, is one of the pinnacles when it comes to red upright Japanese maples. Next up, we've got Acer palmatum dissectum pink filigree. And pink filigree is a spectacular weeping cascading lace leaf. Veritas describes this was a cross, an intentional cross between ornatum and Stella Rosa down here, meaning you get an ornatum style with more pink red color to it. And I can definitely see where they get that from. It's hard to think that they actually did a controlled cross on this because Japanese maples are so hard to do that crossing with. But when I get to you the next two in a minute, you think, well, maybe they actually did. This plant is spectacular though. Pink filigree, it gives you some intense pink red colors. And then during the summer, it starts to get some of that lime green color that you get in ornatum, but then with still some intense pink red colors coming across it. To me, it's one of the most vibrant styles in that ornatum style group, but it gives you that extra pink color to it. I mean, for a weeping Japanese maple, this is great for a container, great for small places in the garden. It gets 4 to 5 feet tall, 5-6 foot wide in 10 years. A nice cascading umbrella habit. But for color-wise, this stands out from all the other red lace leaves to me. It's different from an ornatum type because it has more bright, vibrant colors. It's different from many of the other styles like Tamukiyama and Anabashidari because those are going to be more of your maroon reds. I mean, this one really does have that pink red color to it. The intensity on this color on pink filigree, outstanding. I mean, it's amazing. Next up on the list, we have Acer Shirasolanum Jordan. Yeah, that's right. Orange Dream, Fire Glow, and Jordan. I mean, it just blows your mind, right? This is considered to be an Acer Shirasolanum, and it's actually often considered as an Acer Shirasolanum X palmatum. Now, it's spectacular. To me, it has a more palmatum style leaf on this when it's at a young age, but as this leaf matures, it starts to look more and more Acer Shirasolanum. The vigor to this plant also makes you think of palmatum, but then when you start seeing that rounded leaf, you're like, wow, it has some yellow colors that are to die for. Jordan just has this bright yellow highlighter yellow. Give it some protection from the hot afternoon sun and the heat of the south. In some places in the Pacific Northwest, this tree can be grown in full sun. Jordan is a spectacular tree for us. I know it's one of my brother's wife's favorite trees, and she just called it that highlighter yellow tree. I want that super yellow tree. And she loved it so much, they moved it from Maplewood Gardens in my parents' yard to her yard. So she loves it for sure, and I do too. The yellow this tree puts out on the landscape, the yellow color, it just is outstanding. There's a large specimen that we did a full video on in Dr. Criticos' garden. You can go check that out, where we did a cultivar highlight on Acer Shirasolanum Jordan. And you see a large specimen out in the landscape and garden. I mean, this is a plant that has some good vigor to it for an Acer Shirasolanum. It's more heat tolerant than a lot of the other yellow Acer Shirasolanums. And this plant is just an all-around great tree. It'll get about 8 to 10 feet in height in 10 years. And this tree goes to a bright red in the fall. That gives this tree just that extra oomph. And the yellow color in the summer is to die for. Love what Acer Shirasolanum Jordan does in the landscape. And then lastly here, we've got Acer palmatum Summer Gold. Wait a second. Summer Gold and Jordan? Yes, that's right. The rumor is these are sister seedlings. Acer palmatum Summer Gold. It was actually an Acer palmatum X Shirasolanum. And you may notice that often on Summer Gold, the seeds all turn upwards. That's often an indicator of Acer Shirasolanum. In fact, our good friend Talon Buchholz often lists any of his hybrids that the seeds turn upward as Acer cirrhosolidum. But the neat thing about Palmatum Summer Gold is it is extremely heat tolerant. The leaf is a little bit wider than your typical Palmatum, and that may be what draws you to Summer Gold. The yellow color on Summer Gold is electric. And also Summer Gold is one of the most heat tolerant yellows on the market. The only one I can think that might be a little more heat tolerant than it is our cultivar Hot Blonde. Summer Gold, this plant is amazing. It's one of my favorite Japanese maples. And if you see my video on how to use yellow with Japanese maples in the landscape and garden, Summer Gold is what we use in many different spots to brighten the dark spots or to be in the full sunlight and really be a bright yellow that draws your attention to all the other colors in the garden. Summer Gold, that plant is simply amazing. It's a small to mid-size upright Japanese maple. As this plant matures and you start to get seeds on this plant, you get the yellow leaves with red seeds up above those leaves. And those seeds become more and more red as the fall approaches. So in the late summer to early fall, you've got yellow with red above it. And it is extremely, extremely showy. Summer Gold is one of my favorite Japanese maples. And you look at here, and they've introduced Girardelli Nursery, Summer Gold, Jordan, Fireglow, Orange Dream, Pink Filigree, Stella Rosa. Their list doesn't end there. I mean, they've got some amazing, amazing plants. And they also have introduced a cultivar called Red Autumn Lace. You may have heard of that one. Green Lace, Green Globe. That's actually a weeping lace leaf that actually has more of a rounded ball shape overall. They've got Ford d'Orazio. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly, but it's Italian for orange blossom, and that's a Matsumuri that's a red that then also goes to an orange in the fall. And they also have one called Autumn Red. I've never actually seen that cultivar, but I'd be interested in getting it and trialing it here at Mr. Maple. You've got this one nursery that's introduced all these classic Japanese maples. And it's amazing that all these came out of a nursery in Milan, Italy, and have made their trip around the world. Japanese maples, they're a worldwide phenomenon. They're grown in Japan, the United States, Australia. We've got a whole video on Japanese maples from Australia, Italy, all over Europe. There's a lot of Japanese maples being introduced or have been introduced from Holland. There's a lot of Japanese maples being introduced from France. People around the world love Japanese maples. And these trees, many of these trees have made their trips around the world like Fireglow. I mean, it's amazing to see what Japanese maples can do. And these amazing nurseries like Girardelli Nursery in Italy. It's amazing that they've introduced so many great cultivars. I hope you've enjoyed today's spotlight Saturday showcase on Girardelli Nursery. I mean, this is a nursery that has been 3 generations and all these amazing Japanese maples I've got here on the table. That's pretty impressive. Now, we'd really appreciate it if you'd shop on MrMaple.com. Take care, God bless, and have a great day.